congratulations for Rudeboy. I understand it's being entered into a film festival that's coming out, later this month?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be in the American Black Film Festival, which we're incredibly excited about. Couldn't be even more proud. This is our first short film. I wrote and directed it. My wife executive produced it, and we made it into the emerging directors category. So it's a really big deal for us, and we couldn't be. We're just overjoyed.
I know someone described it to me like it's the Sundance Film Festival for Black artists. So you must be really proud of that.
Absolutely. The American Black Film Festival has been patroning Black artists and creating a space for them really before it became cool or chic or in vogue for over 20 years. So to be a part of that legacy, I mean, honestly, it's just like the most flattering thing. I feel like I'm finally like a real filmmaker. And the legacy is great. I mean, artists like I'm just so overwhelmed just thinking about it. But a lot of really great people have gotten their start there. So to be a part of the community is, I couldn't ask for more.
So tell me this, where did the original idea came from for Rudeboy?
Yeah. So the idea, just stepping back here, I'm a Jamaican and Ghanaian American filmmaker. And so one of the most important places for Jamaicans, wherever they find themselves, is a Jamaican restaurant. That's the place where you can get like just the most tasty and delicious and, really warm. It's almost like our soul food, And so I've been going to Jamaican restaurants my whole life. Aside from having amazing food, they're also known for having very cantankerous at times work like staff and cashiers and cooks and whatnot. So there's a real code of conduct when it comes to entering the Jamaican restaurant. And I first kind of observed this when I go to places with my mother back in Connecticut, which is where I grew up. And so, I've been doing this for years now. I started dating my then girlfriend, now wife, and executive producer Priya, and I started taking her into Jamaican restaurants. And so it was really interesting watching her experience, like learning kind of the ways to navigate. And then really the seed for the idea is kind of like three experiences past observed, which is watching her now becoming acquainted with the Jamaican restaurant and that whole culture, watch other white people in the space who don't really get it, and watching her like really kind of bristle when they kind of, would do things that just felt a little kind of, not in vogue. And so that's really where the idea came from, was like watching white people dealing with white people inside of a Black space.
So this actually kind of sort of happened in an exaggerated form.
Yeah, and it's certainly in an exaggerated form. I would, hope to have the freedom all artists want, to take liberties. I try to tell the truth, not be beholden to the facts. But yeah, absolutely. We actually just went to Jamaica together 2 years ago. And so that was even just like another moment of like, observing other white people in Jamaica. It was just like we're going further down into this hole. So it's just something that I live with, because she's a very open, worldly kind of person. But it's like, I'll get annoyed if someone is like a jerk to like a Jamaican waiter or something when we were at like the space that we were staying. But like she gets like doubly annoyed because she feels like they're giving like white people kind of a bad name in the space. And so that's like, I was like, this is interesting here. It's like white on white crime.
Because just to remind viewers, this is a comedy. So in reality, you're kind of mocking both white and Black people at the same time.
Absolutely. Everyone is up for grabs in this comedy. And that's the way that I try to do things. Like I want to have fun. I want to tease. I, want to poke at the things that I find kind of ridiculous, but I never want to lose sight of the humanity of anybody. And it's really, at its core, Rudeboy isn't a mean-spirited short. It really has a lot of heart and a lot of love. And I think ultimately, as you continue down the journey with the characters, a lot of empathy. But yeah, I would hope that, and anything that I kind of make from a comedic standpoint, that nothing is too off limits,
I can't imagine something like this happening in a Jamaican restaurant in the United States. So was this much more of like Jamaican culture itself, not necessarily American culture?
I mean, like having a machete pulled on you, or
Yeah.
pretending to be?
No, it's sort of the rudeness of types.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of weird things all over. I mean, I will say, like, I haven't entered one Jamaican restaurant, and I say this with like love because again, I'm part Jamaican. I haven't entered one Jamaican restaurant where I could get everything that was on the menu, and I haven't been in one Jamaican restaurant where I've asked for something that that was on the menu that I couldn't get, and it and the energy that came back to me was like, "Why did you ask for that?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't know that I couldn't get it." Could a machete be pulled on you? You know, I don't know. Tread with caution. I mean, when we would go to spaces like in West Hartford, I mean, and that's the crazy thing, like about the culture of the space. It's like there's just like a reverence because even like my mother, who is, she came from Jamaica, came to this country, she would go in and she'd be like, all right, so just like get in the line, don't say anything, don't look this way, don't look that way. And I'm like, but you're Jamaican. You should feel like, triumphantly like coming home. And it's like, no, man, you gotta like respect the space, respect the ambiance, and respect the cashier. So I'd like to believe, anything could happen.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Jamaicans per se because I never you're technically the first Jamaican that I ever met, and my familiarity of
Number one.
yeah of my familiarity with Jamaicans is watching Cool Running. So I usually think like they're all happy and nice, but now I watch your short film, I was going, are they rude?
I mean, I think there's like a balance of energies. Like people are complicated all over the world, So I think there's light and dark and fun and sadness kind of within all of us. And it's funny that you say Cool Runnings because, again, like to the point, I think so many of the short film, so many people kind of have a limited understanding or point of view. They're like Bob Marley, Cool Runnings, maybe beef patties, like that's all they have. And so, with the different posters on the wall of the greatest Jamaicans of all time, I kind of wanted to poke fun at that with the gentleman in Cool Runnings. Why can't his name escapes me right now? But the comedian who passed, just like showing like, it's supposed to be comical. It's like, you have Marcus Garvey, who obviously is like a thought leader in the community and culturally came up with the idea of like Pan-Africanism. You've got Bob Marley, who's arguably, the greatest, if not one of the greatest artists from the island, and then John Candy from like Cool Runnings. It's like, how did he get in the conversation?
So tell me how important it was to use real Jamaican actors, because I think you brought in Candice Renee and Sarah Doan.
Yeah, so Candice, she's a great actress. We're hoping to work with her again, actually on an upcoming short film that we're working on right now. Hopefully we're going to shoot in a couple of months. But she's great. I reached out to kind of my network because I knew authenticity when it came to the roles was going to be key in pulling this off. And so often when you see representation of Jamaican characters, it's just like very cartoony. And I didn't want that. I wanted something that really resonated. And so I like went far and wide. The weirdest thing was like I reached out to like my old fundraising boss from Obama for America when I was an intern. And I don't know how she came up. I must have run into her or something. And I was like, do you somehow maybe know a Jamaican actress? And she's like, I got her. And then she sent me Candice Ring and we clicked immediately. And it's just so fun writing something really meaty with some really great kind of comedic moments and kind of connecting with a performer that I knew could absolutely crush it. And Sire, he is just kind of like a legend in the like LA kind of music scene. And I had met him years back when I was running around town making music. He's a partner over at Los Globos, a very, like club that everyone goes to. And he was the only guy who I knew who could fit the part. And so I was just like, Sire, like, it's either you or bust. Like, you're the only guy who can do this. And he came through, improv'd all of his lines, and just made the movie even better.
So there was a lot of improv in a short film like this.
Tons of improv. I mean, we wrote a script. Well, I wrote a script, and, we would go over it, and we read it, and did the table reads, and had our associate producers and everyone gave notes. And so I'd rework it and get it as tight and as funny, and find the things that aren't working in the read for that, you kind of change and rewrite on the day. But it was really a roadmap. There were jokes in there that I had written. There were jokes that I wrote that ended up living on the cutting room floor and never ever made it to the final product. And then, you know, I was working with really great people like Amanda Tarver, Emily Browning, all like people who are in the LA comedy scene who could really just bring like flavor to the characters. And so, you know, you try to shoot it straight a couple times. And then once you got it, I think it's really important as a director to let the people who are embodying the character just manifest something authentic in the moment. And like one of the lines when Amanda refers to the cashier's machete lady, she improv that on the spot. And it was just so funny. It's like, forget what I wrote. Like, let's go with that, you know?
I love how you kept everything simple, especially for independently funded short film. Where was this shot at? Because I'm assuming it's in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, so we shot it here in town in LA. It's not an actual restaurant. So all of the like wallpapering, all that kind of stuff we brought in. It was a pretty blank space. There was, I think we're in Chinatown. I can't remember exactly, but basically there's kind of like a storefront that was pretty blank. And I was like, all right, well, let's come in. Let's install wallpaper, install the florals, all that kind of stuff. All the set design is really my wife. She works in production design, set design on a number of different shows. And so we really kind of built this whole kind of imaginary element, because the thing that I wanted to do was, you know, illustrate this black space in a really high-end and beautiful and magnified way. Because a lot of times, you know, we'll dignify French cuisine, we'll dignify Italian cuisine, but then when it's like, you know, soul food or predominantly black foods, we're like have this expectation that needs to be like down and dirty and gritty. And for me, you know, I was just like, well, why can't we visualize our black people in a very beautiful and elevated way? And there really was no set to go to that was built that way, so we kind of had to make it from the ground up.
Since you're in Los Angeles, because I used to drive down there. I'm here in Fresno right now, so I used to drive down there like 3 times a week, and now Los Angeles is like danger zone right now. But could you recommend me some Jamaican places in Los Angeles? Are there?
Dude, number one, We Jammin'. We Jammin's the place to go. I couldn't speak more highly. That's the number one place. I've got some others, but I'll have to send you a list offline. But starting, we want to go to We Jammin', man. I mean, great energy. If you'll go in there, you'll see all the kind of things that we kind of alluded to, you know, like really bright colors. You'll see pictures of really important cultural figures in the Black or in the Jamaican community on the wall. You know, you'll ask for something and they might not have it. They might not have what you asked for, but I promise you they'll have what you need. And so I would start there.
I feel like I'm going to be that white person that gets in line at that restaurant
Well, hopefully not if you've seen the short, you know. So you just like be cool, brother. You know, I think just be cool. Don't say anything crazy. I think you'll be all right.
Because the one dish I want to try is because it keeps on popping up on the Food Network is this Jamaican jerk, and I don't even know what it is.
Oh yeah,
it looks great every time I cook it.
Oh yeah, jerk chicken, especially if you get it. Here's the thing you got to do with jerk chicken. Now we're getting into the real stuff. See, the thing is, if you go to like, and I'm not trying to hate on them, if you go to like Sprouts or you go to any of these kind of places and like, and they have some jerk chicken, don't go with it because that jerk chicken has been made for the taste of certain audiences. And I won't say more about that, but you want to go to like a Jamaican restaurant where they're cooking it with like, ghost peppers. They're like getting the very specific spices that you need. Sometimes you can get like a rub and a sauce that you can buy. There's one that we buy like online through Amazon, and we can like make something decent here. But there's like leaves that you want to cook it in. There's like a whole thing around it. So if you go to the restaurant, it's actually kind of like a dry chicken with like all of these like spices infused into it, and then with like a sauce on top. You'll love it. What's your tolerance for spice though?
Oh, I love spicy food. I'm from
you got
Southeast
spicy?
Asia. Yeah, I love.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You can hang. Yeah, you'll do just fine then.
Okay, I can't wait until this pandemic is over because I'm going to drive back down there and check out your place.
Absolutely, please do.
So tell me why you wanted to become a director. Why did you want to get into this business?
Yeah, well, you know, I've kind of had a funny journey as a filmmaker and as a creative person. Actually, initially I moved to Los Angeles to be a songwriter and a musician. Tried to do that for like 10 years, only made like $450, and it was from like a barbecue chicken, playing like guitar in a barbecue chicken festival in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Like one day, like I played like 3 days, I could make $150 a day. And so kind of when I hit that bottom, I was like, all right, I need to explore some other creative avenues. And I'd always wanted to like screenwrite, but I, just couldn't be disciplined to sit down and do it. And, as I was kind of giving up on one dream and considering another, I was like, well, if I can just write and be disciplined, because I come from a classical music background. I studied classical guitar for undergrad, and you just lock yourself in a room and you practice for hours and hours. So I was like, okay, well, if I can just lock myself in the room and practice for, and write for hours and hours, then I can become a screenwriter. So that's what I did. I wrote this. I wrote this script I turned into a TV pilot about Rick James. Sent that into some programs and got pretty close. Semifinals, finals, but was never able to kind of like win and kind of finally be accepted into the programs. And so kind of when I went through that for the second time, I just had this weird thought where I was like, you know what? I'm writing pretty kind of out there, kind of weird things. I probably need to direct what I'm writing to show people how the comedy feels, because it's easier to ask someone to watch a 5-minute short than to read like a 32-page comedy pilot, right? And like, honestly, like magic, I kid you not, it's like I had that thought one week, and the next week Ghetto Film School had a grant out for emerging directors. The lab was actually called Emerge, and they were looking for stories about subcultures, from first and second time directors. And so I applied for that, and then the rest is history. Yeah. So I kind of like slid into directing accidentally because I got close with writing, and I just thought like I needed to realize that kind of voice. And now that I've done it, I'm like all in. I love writing and directing, and we're working on doing another short film, which I'm going to co-direct with my wife, hopefully in October. So it's like I got the bug, can't stop.
So tell me what style that or voice that you consider yourself to have, because usually when people start, they're either very diverse or they're very specific. What do you consider yourself as?
Absolutely. I mean, I have a wide range of interests, and I think that over time those will kind of manifest themselves through the projects that we do. But absurdity with the comedy, I think, is something that's very core to just like my energy and who I am as a creative person. I think a lot of times I use kind of absurdity to, again, kind of get to the heart and truth of the matter, kind of like blowing things up, all the way to 11, so that I can actually, at the end of the day, make a heartfelt point, which is what we try to do with Rudeboy's restaurant. I mean, again, like we're talking about before, I poke fun at Jamaican people, I poke fun at white people, but I really do want to get to the heart of like humanity, understanding the fact that we're all kind of the same, the fact that pain and loss is a universal thing that we can all kind of connect with and identify. And so, I'd say that is the hallmark, I'd say, of these first couple works that we're going to be pumping out. It's like, absurdity mixed with comedy, I'd say through kind of like a black lens, but, pushing to the boundaries to make a point.
Obviously, a lot of directors get their starts in short films, but hopefully down the road, do you see yourself doing like narrative feature films or television shows?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I already know whether it will go like this. I know what we're shooting in October, which is actually going to be an autobiographical musical dramedy based on my time trying to run around LA and be a songwriter. I know the story that I want to be our first feature, and I know the story that I want to be our second. Now, whether it happens the way, that I hope, that's for God and the winds to decide. But there's a trilogy of stories and a way of telling stories that I would like to manifest. And we're running at it. We're just going full force.
Excellent. It sounds like you have a plan for yourself, and which is terrific. So
Yeah.
Let's leave it with one last thought, because you mentioned your now wife a few times. Could you talk about the working relationship with her, how you guys synchronize throughout all these projects?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's so funny because I was talking to a pretty big like showrunner in town, and I was telling him, yeah, I work with my wife, and he was like, I am very intrigued and very terrified by that idea. And I would say like communication is absolutely key, right? So um, in the beginning, I think you're kind of like working through all of your like weird idiosyncratic stuff. But if you keep working at it, I think you can realize like a very beautiful relationship as creators, because who is more, the person I'm closest with on this earth is my wife. So being able to create art with her and tell stories with her, it's just like I think there's an intimacy and a collaboration that can manifest itself that's really unique and very beautiful. So I love working with her. You develop your language, you learn how to talk to each other, you learn how to do business together. I kind of like it because I live with my business partner, so like I can have a meeting like at any time. But it's been really fun. Like, I don't know, do you like the movie Pacific Rim? Because I often think about it in terms of being like a Jaeger pilot and just like being together in the drift and like learning how to just like work together and like share and the things that you talk about and things that you don't talk about and understanding each other's energies. Like, I wish I could give you like a very scientific answer, but I think it's quite frankly a pretty spiritual thing.
And I'm just curious. So where did you meet her? Was it during the music scene?
Well, it was during the time, yeah, that I was running around, but she crashed my birthday party, and the rest is history. Yeah, and I'll tell you, and people always think I'm joking, but I swear to God, the first time I saw her, because she's from Oregon, she's from Portland, and the first time I saw her, she had like an orange kind of glow around her, and I swear to God, it's because she's from Oregon, so she's been breathing in like really, really good air for like years and years and years. And when she finally landed in Los Angeles, it was like all of the like positive, like good Oregon, like force energy combating all of the like smog. She just had like an orange glow around her. And that's the
That's a great story. Well,
one.
Philip, hey, thank you very much for speaking with me. I'm very excited for you to premiere. I think it's really soon. Is either like next week or 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, 21st. Yeah.
So I'm excited for you, and I was really laughing out loud through your short film, even though it's pretty short at 5 minutes. So,
Oh, well, thank you so much. It was a real pleasure to connect with you. I'm really grateful for your time, and I'm really glad you enjoyed the short.
hey, thank you very much, and hopefully, on your next project, we get to do this again.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Okay, bye now.
All right. Take it easy.